Hey there. So, for today's lesson, hold on. For today's lesson, we're gonna go over the wonderful world of raps. I kind of wanted to do this one first before we got into any leg movements and leg wraps or anything like that, because a lot of these basics and maneuvers are really going to open up the world of everything else, and basically learning how to get yourself tangled. Pardon. Basically learning how to get yourself tangled and gracefully figure out ways to shoot it out in really cool variations, which are ridiculously endless, and you could go on. They could go on forever. So what I'm going to basically do for right now is explain to you where the lines are. And what I mean by lines, this helped me out when I was first learning rope dart, and also like almost every other flow, anything from spinning staff to poi, hooping, boogang, contact juggling, all these lines, as I call them. I don't know exactly what the terminology is, but the lines for the rope dart mainly are places where you can get the open knot to happen. So the lines are usually here, 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 and also on the back, crossing the back and across the waist. Across the waist. X across the front, you have lines here and also here. Like you could use your whole arm as a line. That's why I call them lines, because you could use your whole arm as an area for opening and or holding closed knots or open knots in movements. Like how I said, the neck is basically neck turns, neck wraps, suicides, things of that sort. You could also do the same thing with your legs, your arms, and that's why I mentioned the idea of these lines. These lines are really important to know, because what it is you're distinguishing these places of where the rope is going to be guided along your body. So, like how we did the neck wraps from before, those are the neck turns. Those neck turns, that is just all body movement. However you want to do it, standing, the 180 turn. There's all the variations that you know that I've taught you from before. So we learned the neck pinch, or the easy way to do it. There's also this. So, like how you knew about the wraps, and the neck wraps and neck pinches, you can do the same thing with your arms. Like how you do this. That's actually called the oven strike, which was something David Lopez or Rolling Fire Dragon did in one of the last ones. He does a lot more dramatic, but basically it's a very, very simple, just open wrap. Your arm is out, comes over. So you're still holding it, you're pinching it here. Rope comes over, and then you pinch again. Kind of have like this double pinch thing. This is a little bit more advanced to for somebody who is learning something new. Using multiple loops in one hand is something that you'll eventually learn how to do, but that was just used as an example. So for the rest of your wraps, you'll have, like how I expressed, the lines across your body of basically where the rope dart is traveling. So they call this one the waist strap or jade belt. It's just the one completely around your waist. It starts off by casting in front of you to behind you on your guide side, and it goes back to your anchor side from your dark side, on your wall plane on the back side of your body. And your anchor hand catches just the dart, just the rope of the dart. You don't have to necessarily pinch here. Like how I said, that may be a little bit too advanced for you right now. Just grabbing the rope and holding it would do. And then you would send it back from the same direction that it came from. So if it came from your anchor side behind you, you're not going to be able to release it from your anchor side in front of you because it's going to get caught. So what you do is you release it back from the direction it came from, behind you on your guide side. Now that same essential idea where you're retracing the lines on your body, so basically what we did was made it around our waist and then traced it back on our waist, from our front to our back, from our back to our front. So the same idea basically runs with almost all of the wraps, at least in their basic level. So once you start moving forward in the advanced versions of certain wraps, like adding other things and essential movements like neck turns, the knots don't really retrace themselves too much, but they do exit in different ways, which, like how I said, the variations on everything you do is really what's going to make your own individual flow. So when you learn these wraps, I want you to focus on learning how they trace over each other and how they basically like get in and out with the most easiest ways. Learn the variations on what you do later, after you become a little bit more comfortable with how these movements enter and exit. So getting back to the idea of retracing the lines on your body, the dragon wrap, which essentially goes from your guide side and a downward swing under your armpit, or like this area. I wouldn't say armpit because it would be like inside your armpit, but in this area under your guide side and over your anchor shoulder. And you can catch it here. So one more time. You could use both hands, you could catch it with one hand. I would express that you learn how to catch it with both first, so at least you know where the line's gonna go. Sometimes after some time of learning and where the line's gonna go and end up, I've learned how to catch it with one hand on either side, or with one hand like open wide. It just depends. After some time you learn where the rope is gonna go. You become a lot more comfortable with it because you learned how to resend everything into its ways to be able to become comfortable with all of your movements. So how I said, I keep sidetracking, I apologize. Retracing the lines over your body. So in the dragon wrap, it would come over your shoulder. Oh, my apologies. Over your shoulder, from under your guide side and over your anchor shoulder. And just pinch with the thumb back over. Notice the distinction on the loop. You could grip it like this to make it look, the illusion is more on this. That's what the illusion of the open knots are. So if you are actually covering it up, it really does look like the line is never ending and that I am kind of tangled in a weird sense. And when you had sent it back over and caught it in the same direction it came from. This is where it started, came over, and then came back and retraced the line that we were talking about. It went across the line on our chest here, and then across the line on our back over our shoulder. Basically that diagonal line is what it's tracing over. See? Now, essentially, drop the thumb loop, And you could let go of the rope basically after the thumb loop is dropped in any direction. You could send it upward. I'm not going to do that because I'm going to hit my ceiling. You can send it to the right, to the left. You could turn with it and throw it. Your variations are endless. Now again, how I said about variations, dragon to dragon to knee shot. How you exit can be however you choose, as long as you're able, my food, as long as you're able to learn, like as long as you know your movements and how they exit really makes a difference. So you have every variation from the scorpion, which you can do the scorpion, send the scorpion back to where it came from. We're here. It's just like the dragon wrap, but instead of the loop being over your shoulder, it's at your hip area or armpit region, oblique side, right side area. But the loop is held on the left hand, so the illusion looks like you're knotted. Here, you have tons of variations. Just like how you have tons of variation for almost any other kind of wrap. Here you can go into a neck wrap turn. You could literally send it back to where it came from and then shoot it and then out completely if you just lift your arm over your head. There's so many variations. Play with all of the ideas. Make up some new stuff. Just get used to the retracing those lines. Like how I said, those lines can be retraced in every way and be sent out on every side. Your variations, like how I said, the lines. Now, in the more advanced movements, you're gonna get to doing things like, okay, here's a great one. I believe it was called the triple neck wrap or triple neck turn. Names aren't important to me. Technique is more important. So, dragon wrap. And then from here, you send it over your neck. So technically what we did is just trace over two lines. We trace over the dragon wrap, which is going over our diagonal side and over our shoulder. And then we trace the line over our neck. This one continues to go on to trace back over the neck several times until it shoots out. When you get down to the next video, when we cover the leg movements and everything like that, you're gonna see a lot of huge similarities. So like how I explained over tracing over those lines, remember, you can go over anywhere. You can go this way, you can go this way, you can go this way. Technically this is just looks like a shoulder wrap, but it's an arm wrap. So if I did this here, it's like I did a wrist shot, or what they call a gauntlet shot. Again, names are not important to me, technique is. Your style and movement will come after you learn these basic techniques to really get the fundamentals down. I believe there was a total of like 22 different basic wraps. Some of them are like called half and whole. So that the terminology, like how I said, is still not determined yet. So I don't really want to teach you the terminology of the movements or the actual names because they're still kind of like in the air about it. So what you need to be doing is learning and drilling those movements. Around the waist can go both ways. If you saw that I did it in front of my body, it could also happen behind my body on the dark side. But The knot is still the same. You still grip it, but you send it out in a different manner. Experiment, experiment, experiment. Also drill, drill, drill. But to get the movements down, each one individually, take your time with them. Learn where the rope is going and how the dart is flying into a certain direction from every angle. Try and turn and move with the dart. If you just stand still and dart standing still, it's really weird and wonky. The movement of martial arts is very incorporated into everything that you do and everything. But in rope dart, it's very essential because when you do your movements and you turn your body with your body and you step forward with your movements, it makes things a lot easier. You see how all I basically did was shift my body's location. These turns and movements really accentuate how you do your movements, your style, and also create a grander illusion. So when you get to like movements like, let's do a butterfly burst from cocoon, which essentially there's multiple variations on how to do the movement, just like how everything else is. Everything else is about this whole idea of rope dart and all flow. But it's a cast over the head. I got stuff in the way today. So it looks like this from behind. There's like 40 variations that I know and play around with this one. I do one that's like ridiculously insane, and like there's ones that looks like it's non-stalling. There's ones that you can do with like a neck wrap turn added into it. I've seen one where somebody shot it out with their knee at the end. Again, the ideas are endless. It's just once you learn these movements, when we get to more advanced techniques like Overlord Sheds Armor and Butterfly Burst from Cocoon, also learning more advanced techniques like combining. After you learn the simple basic wraps, I'll teach you like simple basic leg stuff, and then it's combining both of the movements together from top and bottom, or just combining movements for just the bottom area. So you can get movements like this. That shit's really fun. Let's see. Well, I think that's pretty much it for now. Like how I said, for a quick review, the lines on the body. Where your lines are on your body, across from shoulder to hip, on either side. That means from shoulder to hip, or shoulder to hip, or just hip to hip, or just arm or wrists area, or shoulder, what makes it look like it's in a shoulder area. These are your lines of your body. You follow these lines in your movements, and everything starts to combine in together as wraps. So those wraps can eventually be combined into doing almost anything. It's the same idea. You're tracing over your movements. Everything you do, from manacles, this is like a weird open knot. I mean, I wouldn't consider it too much of an open knot, but it's a variation because immediately you can just drop all the loops and you're out. So if you want to start learning more specific movements, as in a specific type of sequence of movements, like the one I went over today, the triple neck turn, or if you wanted to learn something like the Overlord or anything like that later, we can get down to that, and I will do much shorter videos so you can really understand what's going on, and I'll take down the time to really explain everything. Sorry that this was a little rushed. Well, at least I don't know if it was rushed or not. I just want you to understand the basics of everything and just like really get down to the real basics of how to do all the raps. I'll tag you a couple videos that I've maybe have found you may or may have not seen. Wildfire Retreat has amazing fucking tutorials. So I learned a lot of my things and stuff like that online. Of course, everything that's in your RDA manual and also everything that's on the website in the RDA is going over the very basics of all the movements and things of that sort. I know that some videos like this can be a little bit more in depth and really get to know like little tips coming from somebody who not doing like a simple 5-minute video, you know. I really hope this helps out a lot. Let's continue talking first, and more videos to come. Yay!